Good morning. Welcome to the outlet. I hope everybody's had a good weekend thus far. Just real quick, again, you can tune in on to Vibe 103 using the app, or you can go to vibe103.com using Safari or Chrome and tune in live there. You could reach me on all social platforms, Facebook and Instagram, outlet BDA, under Zara Harper. Also remember, the Crowd Justice Fund is super important. We have the lawyers that are working very, very hard on fighting for our freedoms here in Bermuda in regards to the 14-day quarantine, and obviously a lot more hot topics to speak on about today. So also remember to tune into beyondthepandemic.tv. They released, I think it was episode 7 on Friday. And remember, the hotline when we open the lines to call in is 232-1033. And today we have Sophia Cannonier here. Good morning. Good morning, Sophia. We also have Angela Sansbury coming in, Angie, and we also have Eugene Dean on the line. He is working very, very hard today and has been over the last few days, so he's not present in the studio, but he has called in. So I know he's listening.
Yeah.
Good morning, Eugene. How are you?
I'm good. Good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very, very beautiful day today, so I'm thankful.
Yes. Obviously, like I mentioned, you're not here live in the studio today, but thank you so much for taking the time out to call in, because we appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners will as well. If you wouldn't mind, I know a lot of people have been asking what June 29th is about. If you wouldn't mind just sort of giving the public an update and some details, I'm sure that would be really appreciated.
Yeah, no problem, Zara. So, I'm sure most people are aware that concerns in the community have grown steadily over the past month. We came into a pandemic about a year and a half ago. At that time, everyone had questions. Everyone was unaware of what we were about to encounter. And so taking every possible precaution to safeguard the general public was something that we all agreed was in our collective best interest. Fast forward to, where we are today. We've learned a lot about the virus, and we found ways to manage it. I mean, even if we think about last summer, for the most part, we had a very good summer in Bermuda without having any vaccines. We managed very well. And so over time, questions started to emerge. We found that the narrative coming from government and from the media in general was very narrow. There was a resistance to any other points of views. There was a lot of debate around potential treatments and whether, the hospital here would engage in those treatments despite the fact that they were enjoying success overseas. And then you started to see mandates that were being put in place that ultimately created a very divisive nature in the community. And now we have a situation where workplaces are divided, families have become divided, friends have become divided and separated, and people are feeling very justified to discriminate based on information that, for as long as all of us can remember, has been very private and personal to each and every one of us individually. So, with all of that going on top of the lockdowns, people being out of work, being unemployed, businesses being unable to operate, some people having to shut down their businesses, questions have emerged and concerns have emerged. And so what happens is when you get in a situation where the leadership in the country, the organizations and the individuals who are meant to represent our interests, you're not finding the representation that you're looking for. And if we're unable to find representation for our interests, then as a people, it's in our best interest to take steps toward representing ourselves. So that's what Tuesday is all about. Tuesday is a gathering of concerned citizens all throughout the country, providing an opportunity to showcase, right, their concerns in front of our government at the cabinet offices. And so a peaceful demonstration has been organized. It will start at 11:30. The anticipation is that it will go on till around 2 o'clock. The first half hour will just allow people to kind of like filter in, and then there will be various speakers and presentations. The government is aware that people will be coming to the cabinet grounds, and behind the scenes there have been conversations to say that, that the cabinet will come out to address those who gather in the cabinet on Tuesday. So that's what's going on. So what I would say is that if you have concerns, then please come out and support the demonstration. It's something that's going to allow us to be able to put our concerns in front of our government and really open up the dialogue and the conversation around the country to be more inclusive. For the most part, we've all felt subjected to mandates that maybe some we may agree on and others we completely disagree with. But we've had no opportunity to give input into the conversation. And again, for many of us, we have been left without representation. And again, in that sense, it's very important for us to then take a stance and represent ourselves. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality. I mean, what else do we do? Do we just allow ourselves to continue to be misrepresented or unrepresented? Do we allow the concerns we have to just continue? Do we allow things to just boil over? Do you have people continue to feel oppressed and afraid? People being forced to make decisions that they don't want to make. People being left overseas without being able to get home. People going away for medical treatments and being uncertain about how they're going to be able to return. People who want to visit family. People who have to go away for business and things of that nature, who are concerned about flying or who are unable to fly because of mandates that are put in place that are making it difficult or even impossible for them to move. So all of these things are going on in the country. Also, there's been concerns with how honest everyone has been being. I know that in conversations I've been having, a lot of trust has been lost in authorities and authoritative figures because there seems to be a lack of integrity in a lot of the conversations that's going on. And even in the media, there seems to be a slant where there's an angle that's being protected and other perspectives that are just being shut out and censored. And all these things have made people very uncomfortable. Some have been impacted far worse than others, but everyone has been impacted in some way or knows someone who has been impacted in some way. And as a result, in the interest of all of us, we are gathering because at least our concerns should be heard and addressed. And so if you have concerns, if you acknowledge the fact that concerns exist, and you recognize that more input needs to be given into the conversation, that these concerns need to be addressed, then please come out and support on Tuesday at 11:30 on the cabinet grounds. You can come whenever time is during your lunch break because it will be going on at least until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's what's going on, Zara, on Tuesday. I hope that kind of gives a good backdrop on the whole initiative.
Thank you so much, Eugene. I really, really appreciate that. So again, on June 29th at the Cabinet Building, it's at 11:30 a.m. at the Cabinet Building, June 29th. And this is a peaceful rally / protest for, again, just to elaborate on Eugene. I mean, you did a very, very good job at summarizing all of that for us. So thank you so much. Again, it's June 29th at the Cabinet Building at 11:30 a.m. You're welcome. You can bring any signs that where you can, if you want to get your message across to people. You can bring your children if you have children. Where just overall, it's going to be a peaceful rally to bring people together to fight. Stand up. Sorry, I prefer to actually use stand up these times. Yeah. So I just want to thank you, Eugene, again. And also, don't forget to tune into BeyondThePandemic.tv because he did release episode 7 on Friday. So yeah, so we miss having you here in person today, man. I need that energy. But Sophia's gonna bring it to me this morning. She's gonna bring it. She's got me. She's got me.
Yeah. And just so that people know, we're also releasing another episode on Monday evening at 8 p.m. And it should be a very, very good episode. We just filmed it recently, so we're getting that ready now. And people can tune in on www.beyondthepandemic.tv. And this is a grassroots initiative. Literally, people from the community have come together and worked together to make this happen. So if you'd like to get involved with what we're doing with Beyond the Pandemic, or you'd like to support us in some way, if you go to the website, go down the bottom and you'll see a button that says Help Us Grow, and you'll be able to read and see the different ways that you can assist us in being able to move the initiative forward. We're getting close to closing off our first series, which was around health professionals, and our next series is going to be around studying or getting feedback on the economic impact of the pandemic by talking to people in the private sector and entrepreneurs.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Eugene.
All right.
And all the best today, and I'm sure that we will see you on Tuesday.
Yes, you definitely will.
Yes, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and when you can, try to squeeze in a little rest time.
And eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Today, all right.
Yes, thank you. So again, if you're just tuning in, we have Sophia Cannonier here today, and we have Angela Sansbury here today joining us. You can listen to us on vibe103.com using Chrome or Safari. And remember, like Eugene mentioned, please tune into BeyondThePandemic.tv. He released episode 7 on Friday, and episode 8 will be released on Monday. Again, welcome, Sophia. Welcome, Angela. You can just get a little close to the mic.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, in case, sorry, Sophia, I didn't mean to cut you off. In case people are just, excuse me, tuning in for the first time, Sophia Cannonier holds internationally recognized and accredited certifications in the areas of yoga, prenatal yoga, Pilates, massage therapy, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sophia, it says
Feldenkrais.
And what is that? Sorry, if you don't mind to elaborate.
Somatic education.
Okay. By applying this formal knowledge and combining it with aerial performance training, she has developed comprehensive aerial arts programs in pole fitness. Is it Lyra? Silks, and aerial yoga. Sophia's success comes from her training and experience in multiple disciplines, giving her an unparalleled knowledge of how the body moves, strengthens, and heals. And in addition to being a multi-certified trainer, Sophia is also a past and present performer in aerial arts, dance, and pole fitness. So again,
also a mom of 3.
Exactly.
Home birth mom of 3.
Yep.
In Bermuda.
And again, we have Angela Sansbury here. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of like a frog in my throat this morning. So welcome, Angela. It's a pleasure having you here. And just a bit of background on Angela. She is also a mother of 3. Wow, we have 3 women here. I'm a mother of 3. You're a mother of 3. Sophia's a mother of 3. That's 9 children we're fighting for, standing up for, right?
Growing.
And so Angela Sansbury, she's a mother of 3, all natural childbirths, with 2 born at home in the water. She breastfed all 3, and after doing a lot of reading, she decided not to give them any vaccines. So some of the topics that we will be talking about today are mother's perspective on them taking the vaccine themselves and giving the children the shots, and now how they're going to move forward in the healing process. Natural fertility awareness, cleansing with diet and foods. We're also going to be talking about marital counseling and what happens when there's deception and mistrust regarding the shots. Obviously, it really, to be truthful, it is impacting a lot of marriages because, you know, some husbands have their view on the vaccine, some wives have their view. Other marriages, have other views, and it's causing a lot of problems and a lot of tension, and that's also a big topic that's not being addressed. I mean, we could go on and talk about the mental health and the stress and the anxiety and
Well, let's talk about what's positive.
Exactly. Because actually, bringing that up, I actually said, a lot of things have come out of COVID-19 that have been very positive, which is bringing awareness and asking questions. And we're also going to be talking about the hotel quarantine and what that feels like, to hear firsthand what it's like to be locked up for being healthy for 2 weeks, and how meditation can help your brain and body move forward and out of fear and into a healing mode. And then what I would also like to touch on is Candace Owens. It's going to be in the middle of the show, and then also I was going to touch on something else with her towards the end of the show. If you do not follow Candace Owens, she actually has about 3.8 million followers on Twitter, and she's an American conservative author, a talk show host, a political commentator, and an activist. And in 2021, she joined the Daily Wire, and she actually hosts her own show called Candace. And she has a political podcast. I find her a very interesting woman, so I would love to just kind of play a couple clips, 2 of them, if I get through 2 of them. But if anything, I'll play at least 1. But I really want to try to get through 2 of them because it touches on the Tuskegee experiment that I find is very, very important and in some ways relatable to what's going on. And a lot of people don't know about this. I actually introduced a lot of people to that bit of history over the weekend. And also she talks very well about fact checkers and vaccines. And again, she's a very powerful woman. I mean, I respect her a lot. I've only just started kind of watching and following her the last few months. And she's pretty incredible. But again, we do have Angela Sainsbury here. And she is a certified yoga teacher, and she's trained primarily with Michael Watson. She has a bachelor's and master's degree in music performance, and she's generally interested in the natural health and well-being, and she does a lot of research on self-educating in this regard by reading books and watching webinars. She actually, when I read this was pretty awesome, and I tons of respect to you, because I know what it's like having 3 children and how busy it is. But when you had told me that you grow organically as much as your food as possible, and that you cook every day to make sure everyone's eating a healthy diet, is incredible. So I really want to applaud you for that, because that is very time consuming. And along with having 3 children, it is very stressful at times, but joyous as well. So I really applaud you for that. And she also is a big believer in daily exercise, fresh air, sunshine, adequate sleep, de-stressing, and hydration are the lifestyle habits that are necessary for optimal health. So again, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So Sophia, did you want to go ahead and start the conversation? It's basically a roundtable conversation today.
Sure. I think that we need to just follow up with what Eugene was talking about. After Tuesday, we're not going to stop. The people, the concerned people, will continue to remind our people that we are already free and that we have not had our freedoms taken away. We are free people, and we are working to stop the violation of our freedom. Okay, so a lot of people have been concerned that, okay, you go show up to the cabinet building on Tuesday, and then what? Are you going? What is our next move? We are not going to stop. Okay. Also, I'm aware that the people are not. I'm aware that people are not aware that there is support in the community, and has been since January, for anyone who has naturally found themselves having COVID. Mel Dupree and I have a group. We started a grassroots organization called Naturally COVID Immunity Bermuda. We serve free of charge helping people who have what we call the recovereds, the people who have had COVID, who would like to share their story, to help let other people know what their story was as far as their susceptibility and how they were vulnerable to getting COVID and how they made it through and are thriving now. So there's over 2,500 people in Bermuda who are recovered. And we needed to start this group back in January because there was and there still is not an organization that is supportive of the recovered people. We extended that organization, we extended that coverage once the rollout of the shot started in the early part of the year as well, to anyone who has had adverse reactions, friends, family, work colleagues, and I can't tell you how many people have come forward. A lot of people have come forward anonymously and they continue every day to come forward to say that they have had adverse reactions everywhere from anaphylactic shock down to rashes to memory loss. The list goes on. So do reach out. You can find us. You can call me. You can message me, and the group is called Naturally COVID Immune Bermuda, NCIB. So I wanted to let you know that. And
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And let's hear from Angie.
Well, I just think that we all have our own rights to decide what we do or do not put in our body, and I think that everybody's individually responsible for doing their own research. And I don't blindly follow anybody, and I don't have blind faith in big pharma. I think there are enough instances throughout history that you can see where they've made mistakes. And what you were saying about the Tuskegee experiment, and one that I just became aware of was the swine flu vaccine that they put out in like 1976, and it was backed by the CDC. And then it turned out to cause neurological problems, and they paid out $3.5 billion in reparations to people that had been damaged by the vaccine. But initially it was said it was safe. Like, they have an advertisement of the head of the CDC saying it's safe, roll up your sleeve and get the vaccine, right? And back in the CDC also approved DDT, and they were spraying it all over kids. And then to come out and say that it was toxic, right? So then you have this kind of like lack of trust.
Yeah.
When you say, like, it's just safe, just do it, right? And I got an email from my kid's school as soon as it was okayed for ages 12 to 15, saying that it's safe and effective, and there have been a lot of studies that show that it's safe and effective. I'm like, well, did you attach the link to the studies that show that it's safe and effective? So I had to do my own research to try and find this study that says it's safe and effective. Like, when did the study occur on kids ages 12 to 15, and how many children were involved? Well, it turns out there were like over 2,000. And even when you look at the emergency use authorization fact sheet or whatever that says the exact numbers of children that were involved in the study, and it says that they were at least received one dose, but most people are having their worst reactions after the second dose. So when you really start to look at these studies, you're like, well, how many people from that 2,000 were excluded because they didn't qualify in the end?
Yeah.
And so it's always like a little bit misrepresented in the media to me that they say that 2,000 people participated and they're, not really any adverse reactions, or they can't really be blamed on the vaccine. And I'm like, well, I just trust Mother Nature a little bit more than I trust human beings. I don't feel like scientists are infallible. I don't feel like they know everything. There's so much about the complexity of a human being that they still don't understand. And so you can say to me all you want that that's not going to affect my body in a negative way, but I'm just waiting to see. Mm-hmm. and like, it's only really rolled out in January, and this is they said, well, the technology's been around for 10 years or 20 years to make these mRNA vaccines. Oh, it's safe. We know that the whole process of this is safe. Well, then why are people getting myocarditis and pericarditis? Mm-hmm. And the CDC just has another the most recent update, I think it was updated like June 11th, 2021. And I really struggled to find this study. Like, my aunt sent me a screenshot with two of the pages from this study, and I'm like, well, I got on the CDC's website, and I'm searching for this study. And I had to type in some very specific things to actually find it. So if you really want to do your own research, you're kind of stuck, like, really digging. And most people don't have time to do that.
Or even the patience.
And so, and so, what I'm finding is, like, people are doing their research on CNN. And they're doing their research by watching BBC, and they're doing research by, looking at the newspaper. And for me, I'm like, I want it from the horse's mouth, right? So I read this book by Dr. Greger called How Not to Die, and it's all about like scientifically based, evidence-based nutrition. And like, what have they found is the healthiest nutrition for the body, right? But he's like, well, where's the evidence? That's like, if you ever watch any of his videos, he's like, well, show me the evidence, right?
Yeah.
And that's just it. And you look at his book, and he has so many citations, and you could go and you could find the study that he's getting his information from. But that's not the way these things are being presented to us, right? There's no link to the study to show us that it's safe and effective, right?
Yeah.
And then I was just out of curiosity, like, Googling, like, what percentage of the world population has actually contracted COVID? Now, what percentage of the world population has actually been fully vaccinated for COVID? Well, we're, like, way more people that are fully vaccinated than have actually naturally contracted the disease. And somebody said to me, and I was just like, this was just curiosity. Somebody said to me, well, maybe it's because of all these, regulations that we've put in place, all the lockdowns and the social distancing and the mask wearing, and that's the reason why, it hasn't been spread. And yeah, maybe it's those regulations have prevented it from spreading. But to me, like, it's just like, great, if you want to avoid getting sick, avoid getting sick. But at the same time, it's like, well, wow, we've really managed to inject a lot of people with this unknown variable, right? Way more than have actually contracted it naturally. And that to me was just like a mind-boggling number. I mean, it's a big, I have it on my computer, and it changes all the time because so many people are getting vaccinated every day, right? And actually, I think the rate of vaccination is way higher than the rate of actually contracting COVID
or at least the
at this point.
reports show that, right?
Yeah, and so then I saw this article about doctors in Indonesia that are ending up in the hospital, and they've been fully vaccinated for COVID, and they think, well, maybe it's because they're getting the Delta variant or whatever, and okay, and then you think, well, there's this concept, or there's an actual thing of viral immune escape. So you have, you've got this vaccine that's for this particular strain of the virus, but the virus reproduces every 10 hours. And so then it's like got this ability to shapeshift, right, and change. And that's how it survives, right? And so, I've heard some people say that it'd be very hard for human beings to keep up with the rate of
someone said it's a race of time.
So then you're saying, but my body's got divine intelligence. Like, I know some people don't believe in a higher power. I have a friend that's like, science, it's science. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I think they're just human beings.
Yeah.
They have a limited scope of knowledge, and I'd rather take my chances with the strength of my own body rather than and I look at Sophia, and if she's had it and she's sitting here like, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any pre-existing health conditions. I'm not elderly.
And there's what is it, a 90?
Oh, it's like over 98% recovery rate for
That's
COVID,
always
right?
my argument. Why do I need to get an injection if I myself have a over 98% chance of surviving if I were to contract COVID-19?
You don't need to have an injection.
That's the question I always ask myself, and I ask other people.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to get it, Zara? No, why would I want to do that? I have over a 98% chance of surviving. And when you speak about Angie, can I call you Angie? I think I can, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hey. When you speak about the CDC and trusting in science, I would actually really love to play this clip clip, sorry, from Candace Owens. I think it's extremely impactful. And she actually has, quote, if non-doctor, and just be open-minded listening to this, please. Again, I want to also reiterate, we are trying to always welcome both sides to this conversation.
Always trying.
Always. Everybody and anyone is always welcome to call in, always welcome to be present here at Vibe 103. But Candace Owens, quote unquote, if non-Dr. Bill Gates, corrupt Anthony Fauci, and the makers of vaccines would like to know why people are hesitant about getting vaccinations, here is why.
Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about vaccines. No, we can't talk about vaccines. Censor it. Take it off the internet. Take Candace off the internet. Get the fact checkers in quick. She hasn't said anything yet, but quick, get the fact checkers in. We have to make sure everything that she could potentially say is fact checked. Put a little blurry screen and say somebody called this differently. Candace isn't right. It's dangerous for Candace, who does not have a medical degree, to be talking about the vaccines. Why would anybody listen to her? But Bill Gates, he's fine. I know he doesn't have a medical degree, but it's different because he has a lot of money, and so somehow that qualifies him to talk about the vaccines. But not Candace. Censor it, quick, hide it. That's my interpretation of the internet these days when you start talking about vaccines, and it's getting pretty weird. In fact, people that are traditionally pro-vax are starting to feel differently because of how bizarre the internet has become when it comes to discussing the COVID-19 vaccine. It's not normal. In fact, I have a girlfriend. She's extremely pro-vax because she's a doctor and her husband is a surgeon. So they naturally trust the science. They naturally believe the CDC guidelines should be followed to the T. And of course, when the time came, both of them got vaccinated right away. Even though I was a little unsure, she was sure, and she got the Pfizer vaccine. Since she has gotten the Pfizer vaccine, you'd think it'd be acceptable for her to talk about her experience with it. It's not. Since she got the Pfizer vaccine, she has had menstruation issues. She has not been menstruating regularly since getting the vaccine, and she has called her doctor. Her doctor has said that there is no evidence that it's the vaccine that caused this. In fact, even crazier, she went to the internet and she said, now I'm being gaslit. She went to the internet to try to look for some information. Maybe there's some other women that are having the same experience, and there are. There are actually a ton of women right now who are having the same experience with the vaccines. It has completely changed their cycles. Now their cycles are irregular. And so now, of course, the press has gotten a hold of this and they're writing all of these articles. And one pediatrician actually came out and said, it is a biological impossibility that the vaccines are impacting menstruation. I don't have to be a doctor to tell you why women don't necessarily believe. Anything can impact menstruation. You can have a bad day and it can impact menstruation. You can take a vitamin, it can impact menstruation. But you're telling me these vaccines, there's just no way. It's biologically impossible. You're now seeing the press get out and say that they're upset that in America we are not going to reach herd immunity. Well, maybe that's because you are actively converting people that are traditionally pro-vaccine into anti-vaxxers by refusing to just have an honest dialogue. We are not engaging in this topic honestly. There are pros and cons to everything. It boggles my mind that we are pretending that there's only pros when it comes to the vaccine. It boggles my mind that you are trying to gaslight women and say it's just impossible. Everything about this vaccine, nothing is always amazing. People are allergic to everything. My father is allergic to shellfish. Does that mean no one should ever consume shellfish? No. But he's allowed to talk about the fact that he is allergic to shellfish. There's an honest dialogue. I was pregnant 16 weeks ago. Before I gave birth, I could not stand the prenatal vitamins. My body did not have a good reaction to them. The doctor tried me on 3 different brands. It didn't work. It just did not sit well with my stomach. So eventually we had to come up with a different program because there are cons to everything. People are not one size fit all. We all have different reactions to everything. If you want to inflate skepticism, then control the narrative some more. Keep using fact checkers some more. Keep telling people that they're wrong and that they're lying, and don't answer the questions that a lot of people have. Pretend that the questions are not allowed. And there are a lot of questions surrounding these vaccines that deserve to be answered. Here are just a few facts. And if you'd like to, fact checkers, I invite you to go ahead and check them. Vaccine makers are immune from liability if something unintentionally goes wrong. That might make people a little uncomfortable. My people want to know that even if something goes wrong with this vaccine, you cannot do anything to the makers. Removing that liability makes people uncomfortable. Another fact, Moderna has never brought a vaccine to market prior to COVID-19. The companies that produce the vaccines have also been involved in many legal disputes that might make people uncomfortable. Another fact, people can catch COVID-19 after getting fully vaccinated. Well, maybe that little factoid is turning some people off to the idea of getting a vaccine because the virus continues to mutate. If you are looking for people to listen to the mainstream, then the mainstream has to be honest about what's going on in this country. You can't tell people that their reactions are not real. You can't tell people that they're all crazy. And you really, above anything else, you gotta stop with the weird celebrity culture of people putting their arms out and saying, I got vaccinated. Look, Britney Spears got vaccinated, so you should get a Lady Gaga got vaccinated. Look, Meghan Markle, the D-list actress that nobody knew, she got vaccinated, so you should get vaccinated. It's just not working. Nobody cares if Meghan Markle throws a concert. I know she really wants her privacy. I know. But her and Prince Harry are getting the vaccine, and now you should too. She stepped out to tell you to get vaccinated. Nobody cares. We want an honest dialogue. So if you want to know why it is, if you want to know whose fault it is that nobody trusts the vaccines, the answer is the media. The answer is you, the fact checkers. And if you wish to create trust, we have to ramp up transparency. Welcome to Candace.
So again, that was Candace Owens. If you want to look her up, you can find her on Instagram. She has about 3.8 million followers. And of course, she touched on a couple good things. And again, that brings back why a lot of people will be showing up on Tuesday, June 29th, because a lot of people do. They just want answers. They want transparency. They want honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And
we need a little history, too.
Yep.
What Candace is talking about, women have been going through this for many years. I'm going to repeat what I said on the show last time. Back in the 50s, X-rays were given to women when they were pregnant to check on what the fetus is doing, and then they figured out, well, this was causing cancer. So they practiced on women with X-rays for a very long time, and then they had to stop because it was causing cancer in both the women and the children, the unborn babies. And then back in the 60s, there was a drug called thalidomide that doctors were practicing giving to women, and Big Pharma was practicing giving to women to help them reduce their morning sickness, their nausea. And then it was found that these babies were being born with missing limbs, deformed limbs, distorted. Oops, we had to stop that. They had to stop. So they practiced until the science caught up. In the 70s, 80s, there was another drug called misoprostol, Cytotec. And it was used to help women have faster labors, or to induce them to get their contractions going, make them longer and stronger and closer together, and to get the babies born sooner. It's a ulcer medication, and it was causing hysterectomies, women to lose their lives and their babies. And that was practiced until it was found not to be good for women. Angie talked about the Tuskegee, and so did you. That was a practice on men, giving them syphilis and not actually giving them remedies. They were testing them to see how they could live and function with syphilis, lying to them. So this is no new thing. And as Angie said, we are just people who both of us have taken our power. We've not even released our power. We've not even let our power go anywhere. We are living in our power, and we are free. And we're here to encourage Bermuda to understand that you're not fighting for your freedom. You've already you've never lost it. You just have to recognize that you are already free, and you need to protect anyone from taking it from you.
So if you notice at the top of the Royal Gazette, it says, "Get vaccinated, save lives."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, on the CDC's thing, I was just looking up about pregnancy and the vaccine, right? And on this, let me tell you, it says COVID-19 vaccines while pregnant or breastfeeding. That's what the headline is. This is on the CDC's website. And you scroll down, and it says, "Getting vaccinated is a personal choice." Now, I just wonder why. On the CDC's website, they make it very clear getting vaccinated is a personal choice, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, if you decide not to, you get labeled as an anti-vaxxer. But I've never labeled anybody as a pro-vaxxer. And if anybody tells me they're getting the vaccine, I don't go, "Oh, no, get the vaccine," right? Mm-hmm. But it's the other way around. When they find out that you don't, you just are skeptical, or like you have your reservations, and you just feel like, well, I just feel like there needs to be more research, like it hasn't been around long enough, this is a new technology, and we're putting it into our bodies, like it's safe, and we're just making this assumption, right?
And practice until you get it right.
So I mean, that kind of like really stood out to me, because it's right across the top of the Royal Gazette, and just like I said, you know, getting vaccinated is a personal choice, right? Mm-hmm. So I like, well, that's on the CDC's website.
And it's an interesting concept when worldwide people have been told by leaders, "Don't worry, we will never mandate the vaccine." But yet, if you don't get it, you have to go into a 14-day government facility because you've made the choice as a human being by doing research, by waiting it out a little longer if you choose to wait it out and get it later. But don't worry, we'll never mandate the vaccine. But yet you're still being punished because of the choice you make not to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And not to take your power,
yeah.
and keep your power.
Well, yeah,
it's
essentially you're being fined and treated like a criminal.
Yeah.
That's what I said. That's how I see it. So the other one I was going to say was the fact sheet for recipients and caregivers. This is what's supposed to be given to you when you get the vaccine. This is from Pfizer. It says, "It is your choice to receive the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine." It says that on the sheet, right? And then you scroll down a little bit more and it says, "May not protect everyone." I said, oh, that's not what it says across the top of the newspaper. May not protect everyone, right? It says save lives, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, it says it's like it's fact, right? And then you go down and it says, what is the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine? It says the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is an unapproved vaccine that may prevent COVID-19. But I like that it says it's unapproved, right? The FDA has authorized the emergency use of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. And when I mentioned this to somebody that it's unapproved, they were like, "Oh no, I thought it was approved." I was like, "No, it's not emergency."
Between authorized
because
and
it's
approved,
emergency use authorization. I said, "No, it's still in clinical trials." And they were like, I thought they had done the clinical trials already, right?
That's what someone else has always, we've had the conversation with.
You go down to page 3 and it says Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is still being studied in clinical trials. So, you know, those things to me are like red flags that go up for me when I'm thinking about the safety of something. Now, if I go out onto my garden and I pick some kale and I eat it, I know that I'm going to be okay, right? Mm-hmm. And that it's going to serve the health of my body. But when you're talking about whether or not you're going to trust Big Pharma to have your best interest at heart and that of your children, that's a different thing to me, and it's a trust issue and a faith issue in it's a big unknown.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you know, it's just like how you said, you know, a lot of this stuff is bringing light to surface because I'm actually one of them. I've never, history was never really a big thing to me, even in school. You know, when you're interested in something, you're gung-ho and it's easy to comprehend and absorb it. One thing that's come out of this, or a couple of things that have come out of COVID-19 for me, is I'm teaching myself and appreciating history. And then also asking more questions and finding inner strength and courage to ask the questions, to actually believe in myself and not second guess myself on certain things. And this is just with life in general. Mm-hmm. So it's been a huge learning curve for me. Huge learning curve. I've met so many new people. I've also lost people through friendships. Mm-hmm. and that's also very heartbreaking.
Just send them love, Zara.
Yes. So on that, we'll go to a quick commercial break, and when we return, we'll be Sophia, probably. What would you do? You want to?
I wouldn't tell you what the ingredients of the vaccine are.
Okay, perfect.
Because I
So
have
we're just
the
gonna-
insert right here.
Great. So we'll just take a little music break. And again, if you are just tuning in, you can listen to Vibe 103 live on vibe103.com using Safari or Chrome. You could also listen on TuneIn. You can listen on the app. Remember to go to beyondthepandemic.tv. Eugene Dean released episode 7 on Friday. And also please remember, Sophia, would you mind just reminding the listeners of the name of your contact number and the name of your...
Sure. It is called Naturally COVID Immunity Bermuda, NCIB. You can personally contact me on Facebook, Sophia Cananer. You can look for NCIB. It is a private group. Message me and I will invite you in. My number is 799-6330. Again, you can email me, sophiacananer@gmail.com, or you can stop me on the street if you can find me.
Yeah, thank you very much. And also remember, go to Outlet BDA on Facebook and Instagram. That is my platforms that I have, and all interviews from June 6th have been uploaded. So if you would like to go back and listen, you're welcome to. But again, we will go to a quick music break, and then we'll be back on the other side to Sophia give us the ingredients to the vaccines.
At 11:30. We hope to see you there.
Good morning. Welcome to The Outlet. If you're just tuning in, you could reach me on social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram, Outlet BDA. And you can also, please remember to visit beyondthepandemic.tv. Episode 7 was released on Friday. You can also listen and tune in going to vibe103.com using Safari or Chrome. You can also listen in on the TuneIn app and the app itself. Remember, the hotline is 232-1033 for when we open up the lines for any callers. This is why we pretty much came up with the name The Outlet, because anybody's welcome to call in and vent their concerns, their negatives and positives, impacts of COVID-19, and how to move beyond the pandemic. Again, Sophia Canmere has joined us this morning, along with Angela Sainsbury. Sorry, Angela. I've called her now Angie. Hey. And we're just going to touch on again, we finished up talking about the impacts of the vaccines, and Sophia would just like to list some of the ingredients in the vaccine. So.
Okay, so once again, the group that Mel Dupre and myself have had going since January of this year is NCIB, and you can reach us on Facebook. That's Naturally COVID Immunity Bermuda. And due to that, due to this grassroots group that we have been winning for the last few months, people are coming forward anonymously and sharing with us. And someone who is in our community who has been supporting and helping people who have had adverse reactions to these shots. He's an EMT, or they're an EMT, and I was given this paper because the people who have been going to have the shot have not been receiving this paper. This is a fact sheet for recipients and caregivers that I was handed, and I was told that the inserts are not being handed to individuals who are going in to get their shots. They are asked to sign a waiver to release any to release anyone from suing them, but they're not given this that I'm about to read. So this fact sheet for recipients and caregivers is the emergency use authorization, the EUA, of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease in individuals 16 years of age and older. It does say what is COVID-19. COVID-19 disease is caused by a coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2. So it does tell you what it is. It tells you what is the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID vaccine. It is an unapproved vaccine that may prevent COVID-19. There is no FDA-approved vaccine to prevent COVID-19. Now, this is a fact sheet that is given to the EMTs, to caregivers, to meaning doctors, but you're not getting this, Bermuda people. Okay, so the next page. The FDA has authorized the emergency use of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to prevent COVID-19 in individuals 16 years of age and older under an emergency use authorization. It's right there on the fact sheet. What is an emergency use authorization? See the section at the end of the fact sheet. We'll get there. What should you mention to your vaccination provider before you get the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine? Tell the vaccination provider about all of your medical conditions, including if you have allergies, if you have a fever, if you have a bleeding disorder or on blood thinners. Are you immunocompromised, or are you on a medicine that affects your immune system? Are pregnant or plan to become pregnant? Are breastfeeding, or have received another COVID-19 vaccine? So this is all in the fact sheet, yet this shot has been approved for pregnant women, right? So now I'm going to get to the ingredients, okay? So it says who should get the Pfizer vaccine. The FDA has authorized the emergency use of Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine in individuals 16 years of age and older. Who should not get the Pfizer vaccine or the vaccine? You should not get the vaccine if you have had a severe allergic reaction after a previous dose of this vaccine, or have had an allergic reaction to any ingredient in this vaccine. Okay, I'll say that again. Who should not get the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine? You should not get this vaccine, if you have had an allergic reaction after a previous dose of this vaccine, or have had an allergic reaction to any ingredient in this vaccine. Okay, now we know that there are medical professionals on the island who are encouraging people after the adverse effects after the first shot to go ahead and get the second shot and get it over with, even though their eyes are, they're having severe reactions. So people are being told to do this. So here are the ingredients, and I'm going to see if I can
Pronounce them. Yeah.
mRNA, lipids, that's hydroxybutyl,
Yep.
azanadiol, hexane, hexalide canoate, polyethylene glycol, ditricyanide, that doesn't sound good, ditracyanide, diacetyl glycol, phosphochlorine and cholesterol, potassium chloride, monobasic potassium phosphate, sodium chloride, dibasic sodium phosphate dihydrate, and sucrose.
Now, just to touch on that, one thing I learned from a girlfriend a few years ago when I was learning about organic foods, ingredients, etc. She said to me, one tip I can give you, Zara, being that you've just started to introduce yourself to this side of the world. It's simple. Start simple. When you go to the store, look on the box. If you can read the ingredients, most of them, it should be okay for you. If you can't, I highly suggest you maybe stay away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, reading all of that,
Yeah, it's an exercise.
it looks like a foreign language to me. And obviously, you know, there probably are medical terms on there that you and I, because all three of us, we know we're not medical doctors.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to touch on that. But go ahead, Sophia. That
Okay.
was that she just listed. Sophia Canyon just listed the ingredients of the Pfizer vaccine.
And there will be, we will make sure that the people who come to the cabinet grounds on Tuesday from 11:30 to 2 to let other people know in our community that we are free, we have always been free, and that we are protecting our freedom. We will make sure that we give you the list of those ingredients too, because they've been held back from our community.
Yeah, and that way, if you do have any questions, you can reach out
Yep,
to.
we'll all be there, and this is a group of concerned people from across the island.
that are
And
just asking questions.
every
Yep.
part of the island will be coming. So what are the risks of this Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine? Well, we list the risks. Side effects have been reported with the BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine include injection site pain, tiredness, headache, muscle pain, chills, joint pain, fever, injection site swelling, injection site redness, nausea, feeling unwell, swollen lymph nodes, which is lymphedema. There's a remote chance that the BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine could cause severe allergic reaction. There is a remote chance, they have it written here. A severe allergic reaction would usually occur within a few minutes to 1 hour after getting a dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech. Now, we've had people coming forward who have had, after a few minutes, the EMTs have been picking people up right from the injection site. This is not being told to our people. It's being told to our people from a grassroots perspective, and I'm here to tell you this, but it's not being told from a government down perspective.
And sometimes it's not only just minutes or hours, it could also be a couple of days, correct?
It could
After the
be.
first or even the second jab. correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So it says here there's a remote chance. For this reason, your vaccination provider may ask you to stay at the place where you received your vaccine for monitoring after the vaccination. Signs of a severe allergic reaction can include difficulty breathing, swelling of your face and throat, a fast heartbeat, a bad rash all over your body, dizziness and weakness. These may not be all of the possible side effects of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. Serious and unexpected side effects may occur. BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is still being studied in clinical trials.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, in saying all of that, can you just touch on some of the things that you feel people can do who have gotten this vaccine, and if their children have moving forward, just if they're concerned? Again, we're not here to scare anybody. It's just to be informative. And, you know, if you could just give some guidance to those people who are a little concerned for themselves and their children if they have received this vaccine, that would be great.
Sure. So, Zara, wonderful. We are here to reunify the people. We have had scares of becoming segmented and segregated, and the people are trying to move the people apart, and that needs to cease and desist. Okay? So we, the people, are unifying, and we're not we're not, what am I trying to say?
Don't worry,
we're not stopping and judging. We are all wanting to help each other, because we've all, as Eugene said earlier, we've all been scared in the beginning, and now the truth is being revealed, and we are understanding and constantly learning. We've been shut out and censored, but we are now remembering our power that we never lost. So, to all the people who, our brothers and sisters who have had the shots, who are doing fine right now, we love you, and we want you to know that there are ways to continue to seek your true health and to take care of yourselves, and not to rely on just what we've just read out to you, and how that shot is grooming your immune system. You need to be taking care of yourself regardless of that, because we all are going to die. It's just a matter of time. But we want to live and live healthily. So listen to what Angie was saying about being more proactive about your health. So if you've had the shot, you can reach out to Dr. Armani Flood, to Sifu Reginald Can, to Dr. Henry Dowling, to Dr.
Dr. Stillman in Florida.
Dr. Stillman in Florida, Dr. Connie Frith in Bermuda, Dr. Anne Osarayan, Dr. Pete Talbot. All of these very open-minded, truth-seeking doctors, medical practitioners on the island will assist, will help you to bring yourself to a higher vibration in your health. Mel Dupre and I will also help you with your healing. So if you've had it and you are having reactions, then you need to ramp up trying to clear what's gone in. And there are ways to clear that. There are certain herbs. There are baths that you can help take the particles from the PCR tests that you've been having. Take that out of your system, because everything that goes in has an effect. So you need to, everyone needs to start to understand how to extract this. It doesn't matter. If you've had a PCR test, you got to try and start extracting that stuff out of your body. So reach out and we can help. And then there's there's other products that can help to clear. For children, talk to them gently, and they're resilient. Just talk to them gently. I'm gonna cry.
It's okay. That's why we're here. Oh gosh, now I'm having a moment.
Yeah, well, you know what? I
Yeah.
think that sometimes we forget in all of this as like the intellectual adults trying to deal with the situation, the impact that it's having on our children. Just, going from my son being in a shelter-in-place situation where he's on his laptop all day alone in his bedroom, and then his class was awarded, when they went back to school, his class was awarded with a beach day. And it was just his one group, right, his bubble from school, and they went down to Shelley Bay, and they're 12, 13-year-olds, and running around at John Smith's playing together with their masks off, and I was like, they need this.
Yeah.
This is part of childhood health. My son sitting in his bedroom on his laptop all day is not healthy. And if you want to talk about trying to keep your family healthy, children need normalcy and interaction with their peers. They need to be able to express joy and laughter. Laughter is so important to having a healthy lifestyle, and we have to understand that if it's stressing us out, it's stressing them out. And they have to wear a mask all day long. And now I'm at home a lot of the time by myself, and I don't have to wear a mask. And then I put it on for, like my hour I go here or an hour I go there. But for them, it is all day long. And it feels very stifling to me to have a mask on, even when I try to wear a breathable one. And so, yeah, I think that the children are resilient, but they do this is affecting them in a way that we don't understand.
Yeah,
This is like this is an
even-
experiment even on
Oh yeah,
the rearing of our children.
even I mean, I'll give you an example. I picked my children up from Kaleidoscope. Shout out to them. They've been absolutely fantastic. They now homeschool there.
They're amazing.
4 times a week. Because on the mask, I couldn't do it. It broke my heart every day to drop them off. It broke me. And I know some people don't think that deep into it, but these are my children, these are my babies, and I drive away and I'm free as a bird to not wear a mask, but I drive away and I watch them having to put it on. Sorry again, I'm gonna cry.
That's okay. That's what Bermuda is doing, I think. We need to just let those tears flow because it's been
So sorry,
it's been a journey.
But it's such a big part of our, because we're emotional, social emotional beings. That's what we are. And that's a big part of our health as well, right? And when you cover somebody's face, their nose and their mouth, the only thing, I mean, sometimes you see people and you're like, oh, I know you.
Exactly.
Hi. And all you have to recognize them is, but children, we have mirror neurons, and they connect us emotionally to the people around us. And you're like really disrupting the emotional, social, emotional growth of children by not allowing them to see the faces of their teacher, the faces of their peers, and you know, I think that, like I said, it's going to be really interesting to see how in the future this affects their ability to relate to other people.
My daughter said to me on Friday, when I was out, one of our friends was walking into the restaurant that we were at, and I said to my mom, I said, oh my gosh, there's Kana. She's from Japan. She's a beautiful human being. And before she got into the restaurant, my daughter looked at me and she said, Mommy, does she think the same way that we do? Since when is that has never ever happened to me.
It has.
In my
Not
life.
to you, no, but it has
Like,
before in
when
history.
does that, you know, and when does that actually, these are the little things I'm talking about, you know, and that even if they don't, it doesn't seem like it's consciously having an impact, it is subconsciously.
It has had an impact, and it's stopping now.
Yes, and I mean, we probably have some listeners out there, girls, Angie and Sophia, where well, Sophia broke down, I've broken down, Angie's been our rock through this.
I think
but this is just, it actually feels kind of good, because once you release, that's where the strength builds back up again.
Oh yeah. Before your baby's born, you let it all out, girl.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, this is why we stand up every day, because we are standing up for these human beings, whether you have kids or not. Guess what? We're here to standing up for you as adults and your and other people's children.
So speak to them gently.
Yes.
And there's ways to pull this out. Okay, so even if look on the positive side. We can't take back what's already been put in, but we can surely become more resilient, more powerful, and heal ourselves, because our bodies can do this. We are winning. We are winning, and we have won.
Exactly, and it's like you did say. You know, you said there are positive things that have come out of this. You know, my husband usually is gone out of the 365 days a year. Is usually gone probably about 265 days out of the whole year.
Mine too.
So I've actually, gosh, at least we didn't get divorced. We made it, yay! Wow, but I can say over the past, you know, he's been with us. He's actually seen our third baby grow. He wakes up to her in the mornings. He's with her at night. We're together. We're a family, and it's been an adjustment for both of us on this journey, because, you know, I'm used to my own space. He's used to his own space, and he's kind of been like, wait a minute, I can do this every day. I wake up to my family every day. This is pretty awesome. I mean, 6 months in, he's like, okay, I could actually maybe go back on tour. That might be a nice little break for all of us. I'm like, yeah, I think you should. Book your ticket and go. I need a breath of fresh air. I got this. So, you know, it's going to be interesting once he's back on the road again, to the impact that's also going to have on us as a family. But, you know, financially, he's, you know, got to provide.
So there's been some really good positives.
Really good positives. And again, like I said, it actually has opened my eyes to learning more about history. And if it is okay, can I play a clip again from Candace Owens? She speaks on the Tuskegee experiment, and this is relatable in certain ways because we have had doctors that have spoken about ivermectin and other methods of curing or assisting with healing of COVID-19. So again, this is a little clip from Candace Owens. If you don't know of her, she is on Instagram under Candace Owens, and she has about 3.8 million followers. And she is an American conservative author. She's a talk show host, political commentator, and an activist. And she joined the Daily Wire, and she hosts her own show called Candace and has a political podcast. So again, I just want to play this little clip that will educate some of the listeners, if you do not already know about the Tuskegee experiment. And quote unquote, she says, serious question. Why wasn't the CDC forced to shut down after they were caught experimenting on black Americans back in 1972? Why are we instead being told that we should trust them implicitly as an authoritative health source that cares about our well-being? There's a lot we can learn when we study American history. And here's Candace Owens.
Hello and welcome. If you have been on the internet over the last week, you've probably seen a lot of people posting about the Tulsa race riots, which is interesting. You know, it feels like right now we're doing Black History in June, and of course it's relative because everything that has to do with racial injustice is relevant today. People want to dig up history and talk about it. So you know what? Today, I'm going to dig up some history and I'm going to talk about it. I have an event, a Black History event that I would like to discuss on my show today, and it is the Tuskegee experiment. How many of you guys are familiar with that? It was actually officially called the Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male. And this study began in 1932, and it was conducted by the United States Public Health Service, which is a division, by the way, of the Department of Human Health Services, and also the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. The purpose of the study was to observe the natural history of untreated syphilis, but that is not what the Black Americans that were enrolled in the study were told. Our government decided to enroll 600 impoverished Black sharecroppers from Alabama, 399 of them which had syphilis. And they told them, the government came and said, we're going to give you free health care. We're here to help. I love it. The government is always here to help. They didn't give them any information pertaining to their diagnosis, and of course, they were not actually there to help. While they were told they were going to be treated for bad blood, which was kind of a catchphrase for a bunch of things, it could have been for fatigue, it could have been for anemia, they actually just wanted to watch these men die. That was the purpose. Penicillin became widely available in 1943, so all they had to do was offer these participants a pill, penicillin, and they would have been treated, they would have been fine. But they did not want to treat them. They knew it was effective. They could have saved lives. Instead, they watched them. They told them, by the way, that the experiment was only going to last for 6 months. The study we're doing is going to last for 6 months, the government said. We're here to help. 6 months. It didn't last for 6 months. Again, in 1932, it went on until 1972. These men were dying. They were going blind. Some of them were going crazy, and nobody said anything. In fact, and this is to me the sickest piece of the entire story, some of them went to their private doctors. I don't know what's going on, doctor. I'm sick. I don't know what's going on. I'm going blind. I'm going crazy. And our government contacted their private doctors and said, hey, don't treat these guys. We're actually observing them. They're a part of a study that they don't know that they're in, so please don't treat them. So doctors knew that their patients had syphilis, knew that they had to solve for that syphilis. They knew that they could have given them a pill and saved their lives, and they declined to do so because our government told them not to. Wow. That was until the 1960s, when a guy by the name of Peter Buxton, who was a venereal disease investigator in San Francisco, who was also working for the Department of Health, found out about this experiment. He said, this is wrong. This study is wrong. He expressed his concerns that it was unethical, And do you want to know what our government did? Well, they conducted a review. They said, we should look at this. Peter seems upset. Let's look and see if this is the wrong thing. Maybe we should actually see if we should stop this study. Do you want to know what they concluded at the end? They concluded that actually, no, we're going to keep letting these men die. It's ethical. We're going to keep it going on. The Department of Health and the CDC decided to still let more men die. So that guy, Peter, did the right thing, and he leaked it to the press. And in 1972, only because it was leaked to the press, the study was shut down. Only because people found out about what they were doing did our government decide to do the right thing and stop it. It's 40 years of watching men die. By that time in 1972, 128 of the participants were dead from syphilis or related complications. 40 of their spouses were diagnosed with syphilis, and the disease had been passed to 19 children at birth. It's unbelievable to think about that. It's unbelievable to think that the CDC and our Department of Health, who is supposed to be preventing death, would allow men to die. It took until 1997 for our government to officially recognize how wrong this was. It was actually President Clinton who issued a formal presidential apology. Here's what he said. He said, quote, "What was done cannot be undone, but we can end the silence. We can stop turning our heads away. We can look at you in the eye and finally say on behalf of the American people, what the United States government did was shameful, and I am sorry." I love that quote. So powerful, Bill. I love but we can end the silence, right? Almost like people are saying, you did something wrong for decades, and government is just ignoring it, just saying, no, we didn't do anything wrong. And then finally, okay, we can stop silencing you guys. We can admit we did something wrong. But so much time has passed, who cares? CDC is still there. They were allowed to say. The Department of Health Services is still there. I don't know if anybody was ever fired for that study, but at least Bill Clinton said sorry for silencing you guys at home. It reminds me really of my favorite biblical proverb. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. I'm going to leave you with that Bible verse, and you can take from it what you will.
So, again, that was Candace Owens talking about the Tuskegee experiment that was started in 1932. So, just to sort of elaborate more on that, based on what the doctors have been speaking about in the past, here locally and overseas, there are medicines out there that can help. So why the hesitancy on giving them? Ivermectin is one of them. It's been on the market, I think, for 40 or 50 plus years. And the argument that some people argue against using it is because it's not been approved
Now the
to use. And then I argue and I say, but wait a minute. But the experimental jab has not been approved either. But that's okay though.
Mm-hmm.
And then another question is, when someone does test positive for COVID-19, they're told to go home. Why are they not being told on how to treat themselves so that it doesn't get to a point where they're so sick they go to the hospital and get so sick to where some people have unfortunately died? That's the question that I'm putting out there. That's very confusing to me. So
what is the answer we're looking for?
I would love for someone just to explain to me that if a disease is so deadly as it's been told worldwide, why are we being told to go home if we've tested positive for it? Why can't we get the information on how to get better or prevent it from getting worse?
So this is where the people have been rising and their concerns are steadily growing, and we have been doing our own research. We have recovered our power. We never lost it. We now know what's going on. So we don't need to keep asking why and asking for permission. We now must take our power again, which we never lost, and take care of ourselves.
Yep.
Don't ask why. We know why now. And if you don't know why, call us. We'll tell you why.
Yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we'll take a little quick music break. And when we're back on the other side, we would love to have a discussion, because, again, this is a roundtable discussion. Anybody that would like to call in and give input or just join the roundtable conversation here at the outlet, the hotline is 232-1033. You can also reach me on all platforms at the Outlet BDA on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, when we get back, we'll love to hit on the topic of marriage and the division it's causing and the impacts. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in to the outlet here on Vibe 103, we have Sophia Cannonier and Angela Sainsbury, Angie for short. And we would love to talk on, touch on the impact that. You wanted to
add on a little bit, because prior to the break, we were talking about taking power back, or never losing your power, and just becoming more powerful. So ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are available for you. You can order it yourself, okay? Meaning the sovereign person can find out where to get it from. Don't ask permission, just go and get it, okay? If you don't know where to get it, call us. We can get it for you.
Can you give that information again, Sophia, in case people are just tuning in, your number and how to contact you?
Well, you can go to beyondthepandemic.tv and the website, and you can go scroll down, and the information will be there. Any of the individuals who have films on beyondthepandemic.tv can assist.
Okay.
But this is really just a message for the people that these assistants, they're not alternatives, they are valid, and they can help you. So ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, you can take those. Then Angie's going to speak about the antibody tests. So back at the beginning of January, when I had COVID, and became recovered, number
341.
Exactly, I'm 341. I did call around to all of the government labs, or all of the labs, not the government labs, all of the laboratories in Bermuda to find out how I could take my own power into my own hands again, and have this get an antibody test. And all of the labs told me, because they were told by the government that they were not allowed to draw blood and to take to administer the antibody test, which I thought was concerning.
But now they are allowing it, correct?
No, they're not. They're still not, because it would upset the government's mandate and the rollout of the vaccine. That's what I was told. So I did not stop, which is what people need to do, not stop. And I did call Dr. Henry Dowling, who is on the Beyond the Pandemic, and you should really see his episode. And any doctor, but Dr. Henry Dowling provided a blood form, simply said T-cell antibody test, and I made my own appointment for my family for the KEMH lab, okay? So you don't wait for the doctor to make your appointment. You call KEMH and you make your own appointment, because of the, having to...
So I could do that now, Sophia, correct?
You can. It'll probably be a 2 or 3 week wait,
okay,
because they don't allow people to come upstairs to the lab,
okay,
in large numbers. So you get your bloods taken. Any doctor should provide you with this form. If your doctor won't, call Dr. Henry Dowling and join his practice. You get your bloods taken. They're sent off the island. There's a lab in, I think, New Jersey who does it, and then 10 days later you get your results, and from that you get a number of your levels of antibodies. And you prove to yourself, and you stand in your own strength and power, that you have a good, strong immune system. So you get the numbers, and we've done it twice, in January and in April. So that's one way you can be in charge of yourself. The second way is that you don't need to take anything up your nose, in your throat, in your bum. You don't have to do any of that. There's something called an RT-PCR saliva test, and yes, you can order it yourself. And there's a little information here. People have been doing this. People in the international business community, people, concerned parents who want to go on vacation, they've been ordering their RT-PCR personal saliva kits. And they've sent them to addresses like UPS, their U.S. addresses, the companies here that provide that service of bringing things into Bermuda. So when they get here, unfortunately, there is a block on that. So these personal items are ordered by these sovereign beings, and they are being blocked and confiscated with no reason, right?
You're talking when people actually order them.
When they arrive in Bermuda, customs is stopping them.
Okay.
So that's it. You can still work to get your own items out. They're your personal items. So why is customs stopping? But it is possible. So again, you can call us to find out, and we'll have all this information for you on Tuesday.
Perfect.
So you take these, you do your own saliva test, you send it off the island, if in fact you want to test. Okay, so this is a way to, if you're worried and you want to know whether you have symptoms, or you want to just take charge of your own health, then you do your own test, and it's worth it, because then you can say, this is me. This is my body. This is what I'm doing for myself, and these are my results. And you're not actually putting them into a system, because our PCR tests here in Bermuda are spun at 45, and they should be spun between 25 and 35. Maybe I'm not using the right word, spun, but there's a risk that you could get a false positive. So if you are in charge of your own health and your own tests and your own saliva, then you can tell whoever that you are negative.
Yeah, because to touch on the cycles, based on what I've been told and also read, that the PCR tests, the higher that they're run at, the cycles, the higher chance it is that you're going to pick up on any sort of, how would you word it, maybe bacteria, or to then have a false positive, where, to my knowledge, to what I've read and what I've been told, is that these PCR tests should only be run at a max of 25 cycles. Mm-hmm. But in the past, they've been running them at up to, again, don't quote me on this, up to 45, which then does have the false positive effect. Mm-hmm. So if you don't mind, Angie, tapping in and talking about the antibodies, that would be great.
Well, I had just come across a study, it was the Cleveland Clinic study, and the purpose of it was to evaluate the necessity of COVID-19 vaccination in persons previously infected with SARS-CoV-2. And there were 52,238 included employees, and 1,359, which is 53% of 2,579 previously infected subjects, remained unvaccinated. So this group of 1,359 previously infected with COVID employees decided they weren't going to get the vaccine, and at the end of the study, not one of them tested positive for a subsequent SARS-CoV-2 infection, so showing that they remained immune to it. Right, without being vaccinated. So somebody like Sophia and her husband and her children who have previously had COVID, there's no purpose for them to get this COVID vaccine because they already have the antibodies, right? They already have the protection. The whole purpose of the vaccine is to cause your body to produce these antibodies that she already has. So for those people, so far the number of people, confirmed cases that we have in Bermuda is somewhere around 2,500. But I mean, maybe there's a number of people that have had COVID and didn't get PCR tested, so they're not part of that number, right? And maybe they just stayed home and they were sick and they got over it and it was fine. But we really don't know who has the antibodies and who doesn't have the antibodies. Now we're blanket testing everybody with PCR. Why don't we just blanket test everybody for the antibodies and see who in the community already has antibodies? But then when you get into the travel restrictions, it's very it's very one-sided. What that you can only get a COVID passport, right? If you have got the vaccine. Well, the vaccine is meant to produce the antibodies. So why does somebody like Sophia, who has the antibodies, why can't she use that as her valid way of showing that she's got immunity, right? And then you have this cruise, like the first fully vaccinated cruise, and two of the people on the cruise ended up testing positive for COVID. And then they had to be quarantined, and then they had to do contact tracing. So, on the one side, we seem to have all this confidence in the vaccine, and no confidence in people who have natural immunity. And to me, it's non sequitur. The logic doesn't follow with me. And it just seems very unscientific to create this rule, this law, really, this regulation that really doesn't recognize people that have natural immunity. Like I said, it's just illogical, it's unscientific, and it just flat out isn't fair.
It makes you want to ask questions.
It's not fair.
It makes you want to ask questions.
We can all take our power and use it and say, okay, if I've had the shot, then I'm going to go and check my antibodies and see if the shot is working.
Yep, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's all do that.
Yep. Should we touch on marriage and how that might be impacting?
Yes, okay, I'm going to go down now.
No, I mean, we're up. Look, we've had a cry, okay? We've released. We'll probably cry a little more later, but it's okay.
Well, behind my tears always comes a bit more power. So.
Yeah, it's good. You release it and then on our way up, onwards and upwards. As we know, again, with the vaccines, it's having an impact on not just marriages, friendships,
relationships. Yes. So what do you do when you get a call from a concerned mother of a over 13, 14-year-old, and she says, I just cannot trust my husband anymore. He took our son to have the shot, and he didn't tell me. She's distraught, she's angry, she's unleveled, she's scared, and she does not trust anymore. She doesn't want to be in a relationship with this person. She doesn't feel like she has a relationship with this person if they can go and do this to their child, her baby. What do? You hear her. You say, well, you might have to just leave that relationship, or you can find out how to go and have a mediator, and get some counseling. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be easy, does it?
No, and there are people that are married and some have the couple, one's been vaccinated, one hasn't. So when the safety issue was being brought about, this couple in particular said, well, what am I going to do? I mean, my wife's not vaccinated, I'm vaccinated. So you're telling me that I can't go to dinner with my wife. So her being in, let's say I can't even remember how it actually worked because everything's so kind of like changing all the time. So again,
That's why it's not working, and we just need to drop that.
Yeah,
It's just don't even discuss
yeah,
it.
like correct me if I'm wrong, but okay. So let's just say it was coming to a point where they said, "Hold on, my wife's not vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. We want to go to dinner. So as a couple, we're not going to be able to do that because of the choice that she's made. Or let's just say they want to go on a trip." And they don't know what to do. They haven't been away. They want to go on a trip. They want to get away. They want to enjoy each other and just get a break from being on the island, as we all do. We get island fever. The husband's vaccinated. The wife isn't. But what happens when they come back? You're telling me they've been together this whole time. They've gone on a trip. They've been on the airplane. They've done it all. Been together. But she's got to go into the hotel quarantine facility. And the husband can go home. And then I think, correct me if I'm wrong again, but now it's changed to where as unvaccinated parents, you have to still go to the government facility quarantine with your children. Whereas before, if you were traveling with your children as an unvaccinated parent, you can go home and quarantine with your child.
Well, that's what they say, but that's not what's going to happen.
I hope, and that's and because these are really big, important things, and that's why we also want to touch on what mandatory hotel quarantine feels like, and to hear from firsthand what it's like to be locked up, and you're not even sick. And you're just being forced into this government facility. And you're not even sick. And you know what's so great? This is where I just get lost, and this is where it becomes mind-boggling. On an airplane, you are given, and I experienced this because I went away 3 weeks ago. It must be a month ago now. I can't even remember. Time just goes by so fast. And again, with the PCR testing, I was adamant. I'm like, you ain't shoving nothing up my nose, okay? I'm going to do the cheek swab, but I'm going about my business. Even that, and it's funny. I actually checked the package because there's something on there that's called EO. It's actually a carcinogen that's toxic. But sometimes you got to take things with a grain of salt. I'd rather have a little cheek swab than something shoved up my nose. But on the experience, we are on the airplane going from here to Charlotte, and bottled water, which is it's not distilled, it's filled with other toxins. I don't want to say toxins, but it's just not bottled the way I would drink water. There's obviously processed pretzels, and again, look, I'm putting everything to perspective. Sometimes I eat processed food because I am tired and I don't feel like, and I'm being lazy, and I'm on a low cheat day, and I'm just going to eat a little bit of processed food. Putting that into perspective, because look, we're all human beings. I have nothing. I'm going to be real. So I get this tiny bottle of water, the bag of pretzels, and 2 hand sanitizer wipes. It's in a Ziploc bag. They're giving this, and the plane was full. It was probably about 200 people on this flight. They're giving these in plastic Ziploc bags to every single passenger. So keep in mind, we have been forewarned by all the travel agencies, keep your mask above your nose. It is a federal law. It is federal law. And even one of them said, look, I know you all don't want to hear this, but I have to say it. It's federal law. Please just keep your mask above your nose. So we've been given these Ziploc bags. Every person, not every, let's say out of 200, 190, all at the same time, on the airplane, pull their masks down to eat the pretzels and drink the water. That's where you lose me. So we've had them on, but now we're all at the same time pulling our masks down to eat and drink.
It doesn't make sense. So it just needs to cease and desist right now.
That's where you lose me. And then I thought to myself, what are you going to do with all these plastic Ziploc bags?
Burn them.
Yeah. What about all the masks that you find again on streets? What about all the
Pick them up and put them in the garbage
What
and
about
burn them.
where are all the PCR tests going?
They're gathering your DNA.
Yeah, it's just kind of like where are all these things being
You need to ask the
disclosed.
questions.
You know, and like that's why I'm always saying I'm all for rules. I'm all for it. But when things just don't make sense, that's where you lose me. And that particular incident did not make that moment did not make sense to me. Where you have 200 people on the plane and more than 90% of us all pull our masks down at the same time to drink water and eat a snack.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have to say about that. But with the mandatory quarantine and first-hand in the experience, to get back onto that, I don't know if you had a story to share, Sophia or Angie, but we were gonna hit on that. Because of the
About
topic.
being in the hotel?
Yeah.
Okay,
and-
I can share on that. But again, all of these things violate your freedom. You are free, you always have been free, and you must protect your freedom. If it doesn't make sense, good. It's not supposed to make sense. You need to figure it out, okay? So regarding the hotel, first-hand experience, there's my children and my husband were in the hotel last year. Granted, it's probably going to be the same. The room, but they were in two separate rooms, close connecting rooms. And it wasn't cleaned, and I'd like to know how it's going to be cleaned this time, if it at all happens, because you have to leave the room in order to clean it properly, right? There's a guard on every floor. Your food is brought to the door. You can't leave. You can only have the sunshine that comes to your balcony, and if you have a balcony that gets sunshine, that's good. If you don't, too bad. Going back to the food, it's people eat
differently.
different. They need to be sensitive. You know, there's more than just laying in a bed watching television or watching your phone all day. It's ridiculous.
And not for 2 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah. And
You can leave your room, but you must ask permission first if you would like to go for a walk. So you're allowed to leave, but you must have permission first.
last year that didn't happen.
No, I'm talking now, right?
Well, when you leave your room, you're going to be leaving the hotel facility. So, it was not a pleasant experience at all.
What about people with
for children.
with that are claustrophobic or
Everybody has claustrophobia.
Right, but like even if this with this hotel quarantine, I mean we've been in this COVID-19 battle now for the last 16, 17 months, and people are mentally reaching their breaking point.
Good.
And so it's now you want to put people who make choices where you said, Angie, on the site, on the CDC website, it is your personal choice. But people are reaching their breaking point, and now those people that have made that choice to not get vaccinated are going to be put in a room for 2 weeks.
They don't have to.
That's why hopefully,
Come on Tuesday.
people are trying. People are really trying.
Well, and this is where I was saying, that if you've chosen not to be vaccinated for whatever reason, then now all of a sudden I'm a healthy individual. As far as I know, I've never had COVID, but I'm a healthy individual and I've not been vaccinated. And yet I feel like a criminal, and I don't feel like I can actually tell people that I haven't been vaccinated and not get judged. And most of the people I'm around have been vaccinated. And what I don't understand is that if they've been vaccinated and they find out that I'm not, they're going to start to feel unsafe around me. And I'm like, but then your logic doesn't make sense to me. Because if you really believe in the efficacy of vaccines, then you believe you're protected if I'm infected, in any case that I'm infected. But I'm not, right? I'm a healthy individual. And, they were starting to vaccinate people by age groups, right? And so the elderly people were getting vaccinated first. So at first I'm like not even in the eligible category of people to receive it. So I'm like, okay, I can just walk around and be myself. And then it starts to be like, now I'm included, and now there's this pressure. There's this pressure because you have to receive the first dose by this date if you're going to get the second dose. And if you don't receive that, then you're going to have to go into a hotel quarantine if you go off the island. Now, like, I haven't been to see my family since 2018, so I'm thinking that this summer I'll go visit my family. And then I'm like, I don't need to go.
Yeah.
And this is a choice that people are being faced with. Like, if you want to exercise your freedoms, then maybe you just don't get to go see your family. But then you start getting this outside pressure. So it's not just the government putting pressure on you because of travel restrictions and quarantine, but it's also people that have been vaccinated that are looking at you like you're in the category of people that are now able to get the vaccine, and we expect you to get the vaccine to protect us. I'm like, dude, you're already protected underneath your own logical reasoning. This is your logic. This is your belief. Your faith, your trust is in the vaccine. You're protected. I don't need to do anything for you. This is me. This is my sovereign body, and this is the only one I get. Mm-hmm. And I choose to protect it in the way I choose to protect it. You choose to protect yourself in the way you choose to protect yourself. But then you're made to feel like a criminal, and like you say, this is your outlet. Like, I can't even voice my opinions. I don't feel like, I just sit there and I'm quiet most of the time.
Yeah.
And what is this, like, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you, right? And it just starts to feel like that. I'm like, I'll just, quiet and smile and shake my head, and then maybe ask some questions.
And another example, I was at the grocery store on Thursday, Friday, I can't even remember, last week, and I dread going. I dread it because I don't want to put my mask on. If someone comes up to me and tells me, put that over your nose, I just don't want to lash out. So I try to actually mentally...
You don't lash out, Darren?
People who
we need to go shopping together, Zara.
Let's do this. So I go in, and it's so funny because every time my husband gets the call and I leave, I'm like, you are going next time. I am not doing this anymore. And he's just, okay, babe. So I'm in there, and before I go in, I mentally prep myself. I'm like, okay, should I put my headphones on today and just kind of listen to some nice reggae music, mind my own business, just put your mask over your nose just for the 20 minutes you're in there, really gearing myself up for this adventure. So I go in last week, and I'm like, I got this, right? Get to the counter. It's about 12 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so hungry. So I just grab my granola bar. I'm at the checkout. I grab my granola bar. I whip it out. Obviously, you have to pull my mask down to eat. So I pull my mask down. I'm there. I'm munching away while the last few groceries are being packed. And remember, keep in mind, they tell you to keep 6 feet away, the grocery shoppers, but I'm literally now a foot away from the packer and the cashier. So I pull my mask down, and I'm there enjoying my granola bar, I can't wait till this is over. I can get to the car, just drive. And the cashier says, excuse me, you need to put your mask above your nose. You need to cover your mouth. And I looked at her and I said very nicely, but I thought the rule was when you're eating or drinking, you can pull it down. And I just continued eating my granola bar. Because I'm like, I'm either going to pass out because I'm hungry, or should I just put the mask above my... I'm like, no, this is my human right. I am hungry.
Just send me love.
I know, and then I really wanted to go and be like, but do you actually realize that... do you know where those groceries have come from? Do you know who's touched them? Who's loaded the container? Who's offloaded the container from the dock to the store, from the store where they store them, onto the shelf, from the shelf into the grocery bag? Oh, wait a minute, I put that one back, someone else comes and touches it. But 5 minutes ago, I picked my nose in the car. These are all things I'm talking about.
It doesn't make sense.
But look, no, so, just going to open the lines for a few minutes if we have any callers that would like to call in and voice your concerns. Again, this is a round table. It is the outlet. It is for both sides.
It's for everyone,
it's
right?
For everyone.
There's no sides. We're all people.
That is true. It's for everyone. And please, if you want to call in and give us any information, or just want to have an outlet to vent, or to
come on Tuesday
the 29th. And also
11:30 to 2.
Yes, I also
Cabinet building.
have an update on the court case. So I'll read this out. It's from the lawyers that are representing some concerned citizens here in Bermuda. On the 4th of June, the Chief Justice ordered the Premier and the Minister of Health to file all evidence which they rely upon to assert that mandatory hotel quarantine is reasonably required in the interest of public health. The court-ordered deadline was set for Friday, June 25th. Most unfortunately, the Premier and Minister of Health failed to file any evidence by the court's deadline and have flagrantly breached the court order, which has thrown the court's timeline for this important constitutional matter into disarray. Disarray is, yes, I'm reading that correctly. No correspondence has been forthcoming from counsel acting on behalf of the Premier and Minister of Health, indicating a basis for the failure to meet the deadline. It should concern all Bermudians that the Premier and Minister of Health are flagrantly breaching court orders. The Premier and Minister of Health are not above the law and must be held accountable for their contemptuous conduct that has the real potential of causing a serious delay in the determination of this important constitutional issue. The mandatory hotel quarantine was first announced in May, and the government should have had the evidence to support their position before announcing it to the public. All Bermudians should be concerned that nearly 3 months later, the government have failed to produce any evidence which supports their case that mandatory hotel quarantine is reasonably required in the interest of public health, and that there are no less restrictive, more reasonable measures that can achieve the public health interest. We call upon the Premier and Minister of Health to withdraw the imposition of the unconstitutional mandatory hotel quarantine immediately. And this again was read. It was read by me, but coming from the lawyers in Bermuda, because they did want to. That neither one of them could call in today, but they wanted to give the public an update on on what occurred on Friday. So again, that will be in a press release tomorrow, I believe. So they wanted to give the update to the public. Again, you can call in. It's 232-1033 if you would like to voice an opinion. We are the outlet. This is what we're here for. Please remember, if you would like to be there, we would love to see you on June 29th. Everybody's welcome at the Cabinet Grounds.
People need to come.
And remember to tune in to beyondthepandemic.tv. Episode 7 was released on Friday. Remember to reach out to Sophia Cannoneer, 799-6330.
Naturally COVID immune Bermuda for people who have had COVID naturally and who are having adverse reactions to the jabs, to the shots, to the COVID shots.
Yes, and I'd like to thank Angie for coming in. If you would, we're going to close it out. If you would like to give any closing remarks, either one of you.
We're all in this together, but I don't think that it's right for anybody to judge anybody else for what decision they've made, and that we really just need to have respect for each other, and that's really what I'm not seeing happening, is that there's no tolerance and no respect going around the circle, that, that you just need to respect the individual's choice and uphold that, that's the only really fair way to move forward, and then to move forward in a loving, peaceful, tolerant way.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Sophia?
Whenever I've done something wrong, I've apologized.
Takes courage to do that.
It does.
Yeah. Because let me tell you, I can't stand being wrong. So I have to. When I'm wrong, I'm like, just say sorry.
Your conscience,
just say sorry.
you're human. Your soul knows when it's time to apologize.
Yeah.
And I also want to remind people that your body has the innate power to heal. Energetic medicines like acupuncture and homeopathy stimulate this process to heal. There's always time. Let's come together, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Great, and we actually have a call. Vibe 103, good afternoon, you're live.
Hi, good afternoon. I just would like to make a comment, and I appreciate what you all are doing.
Thank you so much. Have a really good day.
Do it for you.
I'd like to make a comment on air if I can.
Yep, sure can.
Great. So my position is that this mandatory hotel quarantine is completely unacceptable. I'm really shocked that the government hasn't come forward and put its, during this discovery phase, it's obligated per the courts to put its paperwork forward. And I am extremely let down that the government hasn't done that. I agree with the lawyers that they should immediately remove the mandatory quarantine. I feel that people do have a choice. Quite simply, the FDA has not yet approved any of the vaccines fully. They're emergency use authorization only, and to, in essence, mandate that people get it, or we will quarantine perfectly healthy, non-sick individuals in a hotel at their own expense with a guard at the end of the hall, is quite unbelievable. It's shocking. And I'm furious at our government for not stepping forward to remove this. And I believe that everybody should show up at Cabinet on Tuesday, and I'll certainly be there, and our voices should be heard. This is unacceptable. It is a free democratic society. You cannot mandate that people take an unproven vaccine. More power to those that have chosen to take it. I have no problem with it. I completely agree that elderly people or those with comorbidities should take it to protect themselves. But for young people or other people that choose not to take it, why on earth would you lock them up? It's ridiculous, and Bermudians should be furious. And
Thank you so much.
If you looked at what happened in London yesterday,
Yes. Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Quite amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Quite amazing.
It was.
Tens of thousands of people. I mean, I think the number that they were saying was several million.
Yeah.
These are people that say this is unacceptable. And what's going on in Bermuda, Bermudians should be up in arms. It is about time that we stood up and said enough is enough. Now, Bermuda government, back off.
Thank you very, very much, caller. Have a great day. See you on
Thank
Tuesday.
you.
Power to the people.
Good afternoon, 5103, you're live.
Good afternoon, Dara, Sophie, and the other
Angie.
lady,
Hi, Spencer.
Jean. First off, I just want to say that you three and many more women in your circle are tremendously strong women who are setting an extremely strong and important example.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah,
You'll probably make us cry again.
Yeah, and you know what? and we all will cry coming up in the future, and that's okay to cry. In order to rebuild, we must break down the tyranny and the oppressive self-governance that is being instilled. You and your groups are empowering people in ways that you don't even realize, and that alone is powerful. I think you have done so much, and we have so much more to do as a community to heal and to come together. But before any of that needs to happen, we need to recognize the full extent and the full damage of the divide that is being caused. And Tuesday, June 29th at 11:30.
See you there.
I personally expect all my family to be there, but I know they're not. They've made their choice clear to me. I have lost hundreds of friends personally and on social media and other places, and that's fine because you know what? I know they will hear the truth. They will hear people's words like yours and other people's words out there, and they will realize their errors and their ways.
Thank you so much, Marshall. Thank you so much. We'll take another call, and thank you very much for your kind words. It's very uplifting, and thank you too for your courage, and thank you for listening in today. And we'll see you on Tuesday. That's the 29th at the Cabinet Office at 11:30 a.m.
Anything for our people.
Thank you. Thank you.
We love you.
Good afternoon, 5103. You're live.
Yes, good afternoon. Interesting conversation. I just had a comment or two, of course, as a senior citizen. One of the big problems I see with this program in quarantine, I think it needs to be addressed also, is this business of the travel authorization. Why, whereas Bermuda have to apply to the Bermuda government to depart Bermuda, rather what I'm doing, and also to come back. And And I think this is a very, very, very serious oversight of people instituted by the authorities. And having, being a criminal is one thing, but as an ordinary citizen, I think it's a great violation of my constitutional rights to depart and come back. And it's also covered under the Geneva Convention. So I'd like to know who told the airlines that to refuse Bermudans boarding. Okay, so it's something very much to look at. To a great degree, I agree with your program, your stand here, because I feel really what should have happened, of course, if they need people quarantine, do it at home. And if anybody is found to be in breach of that, then, of course, further action to be taken. But, however, and this is what the government needed to be, to realize that, again, I totally agree with the stance you're taking. I'll close by just stating one exception that bothers me, and that's, I hear bandied around a lot, people that are vaccinated are discriminating against people that haven't been. Now, I have, as a senior citizen, been vaccinated, and if you haven't been vaccinated, that's your business. I'm not going to even ask you, or the case may be. So I hear a lot of false stuff like that bandied around in the media, and I think it's absolutely wrong and disinformation. Okay, with that, wish you all a success, but please include this travel authorization to be banned. Thank you.
And sir, just to add on to that, please come on Tuesday, because there will be information given to the public, to the people at that time, to empower you to know that the travel authorization is how that will be dealt with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. Have a great Sunday.
Yep.
Okay, again, we have no phone calls coming in. I just had a little bit of a, what would you call it, moment.
It's been powerful, though.
So, yeah,
Powerful.
so I just want to finish out by saying that, and I'm going to try my best to speak from the heart and keep it short, because I can talk a lot. My family knows that. But I really want to encourage everyone to come out on Tuesday, June 29th, at the Cabinet Building at 11:30 a.m. Please bring your children. This is going to be a peaceful rally. I just, I get so much joy in seeing other people happy. I really do. I mean, people that really know me, it doesn't even matter how tired I am. Come over, bring your kids, no kids. Sometimes when I've had things in the past, and we are getting a call coming through, but I actually take a moment and I look around and I look at everybody, and just to see their faces smiling and just so happy makes me feel so good inside, that I have brought people together, and just watching them smile and laugh is just healing in itself. So the whole point of having this talk show on Sundays is because really the goal of however many groups are working together is just to bring people together again, hug, kiss, laugh, dance, raise a glass of bubbles, because I love a little bubbles. That is Prosecco. And
I prefer kombucha.
I do love that too. Just a few weeks ago, again, caller, I promise you I'm going to take your call. We had a loss. One of our very, 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 very good friends. Bermuda knows about it. Bless her. She's our angel. Oh gosh, I don't want to cry. Amber.
Uh-huh.
Ooh.
We love you, Amber. We're mothers.
Oh, when we were there at her celebration of life, it was so powerful to actually feel like humans again, to hold one another, to touch one another over a loss that's obviously so unfortunate. but it felt so good to be together again. And just seeing people hold one another. And Amber, bless you. Bless your family. Heidi, her mother, the strength that that woman has to wake up every single day to be there for her family and her son Lucas. Just please, Bermuda, please just come together.
We're coming. We're here.
Again, caller, I'm sorry, I'll take your call. Good afternoon, Vibe 103.
Yes, good afternoon, Zara. How are you, my love?
Good, thank you.
Sophie.
Good afternoon.
I just want to thank you guys again for this show every Sunday. It's been amazing. I'm sure everybody knows who I am.
Yes.
I probably have to introduce myself, but I am.
Yeah, I think everyone must know your voice by now, right?
Mr. Belvedere.
Yes, but I just wanted to come on as you guys are wrapping up, and I just want to make the call to the community one more time. I want to call out to everybody who's been online, behind keyboards, behind phone screens, behind computer screens, behind everything where they've been voicing their opinions and their beliefs on this matter. Vaccinated or unvaccinated, it doesn't matter, because this is affecting everybody. This affects our community at the end of the day. So I want to make the call to the community to be there on Tuesday. We need to stop being so passive as a community, and we need to hold our government accountable, no matter if we voted for them or if we didn't. And if we did vote for them, that's even more of a reason to hold your government accountable. We hold our friends accountable, we hold our family accountable, and we need to hold our government accountable. We cannot be prisoners in our country anymore. That's all I want to say. Tuesday, 11:30, Cabinet Grounds. Be there or be square.
Peaceful demonstration.
Thank you, Toto, so much. So again, Bermuda, and thank you very much, Toto, for your whole team and the courage that you've had as well, because I'm sure, you've shed your tears. So, thank you to your whole team, and everyone involved as well. And just try to be there if you can, even if it's for 5 minutes on Tuesday.
Take your lunch break. Take your lunch break at that time.
Yeah.
Take your tea break at that time.
And again, thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to all your support, for your support. And we will see you on Tuesday, and we will also be back here on Sunday between 10 a.m. and, well, we always tend to go over 12 p.m. You can find me on the Outlet BDA Facebook and Instagram. Remember to visit beyondthepandemic.tv. Again, please reach out to Sophia. Angie, thank you so much for taking time out on your Sunday to be here. Can I come to your house and eat? Because that would be great. I would try your
come
food.
over today.
Yeah, let's do this.
Angie's amazing.
Yes, maybe you should start your own catering business.
She's a fierce lioness.
I have thought about it.
That's a bit of hard work, though. I tell you, I promise you, I'd give you a bit of business. So, well, you're welcome to come back here anytime. And again, anybody's welcome to attend the radio station to voice your opinions, your concerns. And we hope to see you there on Tuesday, the 29th at 11:30 at the Cabinet Office. Stand Up by Cynthia Erivo.